How about a snowblower video? I pulled out my old Craftsman 6-horse, had it for years. I can tell you some of the things to watch out for when you use this snowblower, some do's and don'ts, some things that happen to me when I'm using it. This is the coldest, snowiest winter we've had here in PA in a long time that I can remember. There's been snow on the ground for at least a month now straight, and this thing's been sitting in the garage probably for 4 years without me using it, and all of a sudden I needed to use it, and some things have happened, and now all of a sudden I want to take care of this thing. So let's start here on the back of this thing. Because it's an older model, this is how it works here. You have to let go of your handles, and you've got 6 forwards and 2 reverses on this thing. So you have to push this up and move it each time. And you've got your drive handle here. You got to pull this down, and this is your auger. The first thing you notice is this cable here, how I had to rig this thing. I put a little key ring here, and then it goes down, and on here I put another key ring with some plastic coated cable on here, because the original cable, like on this one, rusted out on me and just broke right here at the connections. So I had to hurry up and come up with a new, and I just happened to have this cable. So I'm going to order, I actually have my manual. We keep our manuals for everything right here. That's the model number and everything that I've got. But I'm going to order 2 new cables for this thing. This is the electric start. It actually has an electric start, and I leave this thing connected on here. It doesn't go anywhere but here. I actually snowblow with this cord on here so I don't lose it. It is the old school one, so you've got to turn this to adjust your chute for your snow, which is a pain too, and then your wing nut for your up and down. And you can see the crack on here from shooting out heavy sticks or rocks or whatever it is, chunks of ice. It actually cracked the top of this. I might order a new top piece here. One of the big things that happened to me is my choke handle broke off. So when I start this thing, I have to take this cover off and reach down in there and turn my choke by hand, and then I got to put this back on. So on top of the carburetor, I have to, hopefully I don't need a whole new carburetor, but I need the new, it was a little red lever that you could move back and forth, and it just broke. It's got the nice tires on there, the bigger tires. One thing that you gotta, they're not R1s or R4s, I don't know what they are, but they got some nice tread on them for the snow, which is good. Now when you're pushing snow, you would think, I'm going to let some air out of this tire so I get better traction in the snow like you would with your off-road vehicle in the sand, but that actually doesn't work with this, because what happens is if you let the air pressure out of this, you'll be sitting there and you won't be moving, because your rim will spin inside the tire. The tire will sit still, and the rim will spin inside that tire. So you have to keep your air pressure correct on these so that doesn't happen to you. I broke the little clip for the cleaning brush. These are pretty useless anyway. Now, inside here, we've got 2 shear pins. It's separated into 2. This half and then this half. And you can see the shear pins here. I think they're shear pins. I might have replaced them with regular box pins over the years, and they actually have a spot right here. You lift this up and you can keep your pins underneath there, and they're gone. So I don't know, I probably used them for something else, but if you put bolts through there and you hit something hard, like for me it's usually branches or dog toys, you're gonna break this gearbox here. In worst case scenario, you'll break the back in there. You're driving inside there, so you definitely want to do that. I think I really need to get the correct shear pins for this thing, so I'll order those. On the bottom, you see that blade going across the bottom. That is replaceable, and that's your height adjustment on this thing. Some of the cheaper snow blowers, just your regular box goes down to the bottom, and they might have a reinforced edge on there, but this actually has a replaceable height adjustment, or actually a scraper blade on the bottom, which is actually nice for this older snowblower here. So I've already greased that fitting there, and I'm gonna grease this one before I get started. And I've got my grease gun there. So once the weather gets nice, I'll put all the new parts on that I order, and I'll give it a nice oil change and fix the choke handle that's missing on that thing. But let's get this thing greased up. And you can see that was bent right there. So we got some grease in there, and now my hole's all clogged up. I used this thing about 3 days ago, so it's been sitting for 3 days. Let's try to pull start it without messing with the choke or anything and see if it'll start. That's a good deal. One pull, and I didn't mess with that at all. Let's see if this thing will do some stuff. This is like 3 different layers of snow, and all it's grabbing is that first few inches, and underneath it is still old snow still. It's not going down, and when I try to push it to go down, the wheels are just spinning. Let's go try to find some harder ice and see if we can get it up. horsepower is pretty good, and that thing's really heavy. That's a really heavy snow blower, I guess because it's an older one. Let's try to find some deep snow. I think there's a big snow drift out there in the yard, so we'll try to walk it out that way. So you can see what's happening here. It just wants to take care of that top layer of snow, and it's spinning. It won't get bust through that hard stuff that's underneath of it. You can see all the work that it takes to try to bust through all that stuff, so you're better off snow blowing as soon as it gets done snowing. Don't get layer upon layer of snow to pack itself like that, because I'm really bouncing it and really muscling it, just trying to get that blade to dig underneath each time, so you don't want to have to go through that. I'm looking up here at the road, and I see a bunch of stuff piled up in the snowplow, a real chunky hard ice. Let's see if this 6 horsepower can bust up some ice. Let's do an experiment and put these branches on the ground and run them over. Let's see if it gets tangled up in there, what happens. Don't do this at home. So you can see what they did. They twisted all up inside those blades. And that happened to me one time. I was snow blowing, and it looked like a very minimal amount of snow was coming out. And I thought I broke the thing, but when I looked underneath there, a bunch of branches got tangled on one half of the blades and broke the shear pin. So the snow blower was only running on one side. So that's what happens like that. For me, it's dog toys or these branches that you don't see that are buried underneath the snow. And you won't even see it with the snow blower. So we've got to pull those out of there. You can see how it just chops them up and twists them up around in there. All right, along the road here, this is where the snow plow comes and pushes all the snow to the side of the road. It's hard, it's icy, it's all packed up. Let's see if a 6 horsepower can push this stuff out of here. soon as it's done snowing, get out there when it's all nice and fluffy and just blow that stuff out of there. Keep a couple extra cables underneath that little cover. Shear pins, keep your shear pins. I would also grease those augers. Make sure you throw some grease on them once in a while. And your air pressure in your tires is a pretty big deal too. For snow blowing, they just sit in your garage or wherever you have them in your shed for could be years, and then at one time you need them, like happened to me. All of a sudden, oh man, I got to fix this, it's not going to start. Electric start's nice, having one that has an electric start, because when it sits for a while and you're pulling and pulling and pulling trying to get that thing to start, that sucks. So an electric one is pretty nice to have. But 6 horsepower seems to be enough. Like it can push through anything that I needed to, and I've had it through some really deep fresh snow and it's worked fine. I think anything bigger than that is just so heavy. I don't know if a regular homeowner would want something so heavy, because that is heavy. When you push down on that and try to maneuver it like this, it sucks. So anything more than that I think is probably too much for a regular homeowner. So that's it for this video, just playing around with the snowblower. All right, let's go find something else to do.